Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at alchemy,
Ooh, fun.
specifically the Philosopher's Stone,
Okay.
and we're going to be using excerpts from Hermetic Triumph.
I like that one.
It's this really cool text that's written as a dialogue between Eudoxus, who is like a master alchemist, and Pyrophilus, who's his eager student.
Right.
And so it's kind of like we're eavesdropping in on this masterclass from like centuries ago.
I love that.
So in this deep dive, we're going to try to understand like the core ideas of alchemy, especially as they're presented in this text. We're going to be separating the real from the mythical,
Always important.
and hopefully we'll find some insights that are still relevant today.
I think we will.
So Pyrophilus, he starts off right away with a question, and I think we've all wondered at some point.
Yeah.
He asks Eudoxus, can one substance really be the key to creating everything?
Oh, that's a good one.
Like, isn't that like the ultimate recipe for everything?
It's the ultimate question, right?
Yeah.
Like the recipe for the universe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so Eudoxus kind of clarifies that it's not about like a magical rock or something, that just conjures things out of thin air.
Yeah.
He says that the Philosopher's Stone is a compound, but it's a compound of purified substances that share a common root.
Okay, so it's not just like any random things thrown together.
Right.
There's something that connects them.
Yeah, like they have an affinity for each other.
Uh-huh.
It's like, imagine taking a bunch of different herbs, like a multi-herb concoction,
Okay.
and then refining it down into one potent medicine.
I like that.
So it's about taking something raw and refining it to its most powerful form.
And that initial raw material, that's what they call the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah.
And then once it goes through all these processes and becomes its perfect form, that's the philosophic stone.
Yes, exactly.
Two different stages of the same thing.
But even with this explanation, Pyrophilus is still a little confused.
Understandably.
He's like, well, some alchemists start with coagulation, which sounds pretty solid,
Yeah, not very stone-like.
right? Not what you'd expect if you're starting with a stone.
Yeah.
So Eudoxus drops this key insight, and he says that solution is the foundation of the alchemical process.
Okay, so even though they're talking about a stone, it's not really about a solid object.
Right. It's about this process of dissolving.
Interesting.
And he says that a lot of these alchemical operations like calcination, sublimation, all these things are actually forms of dissolving.
It's about breaking things down.
Yeah, it's not about building something up right away. It's about breaking it down first. Like how a sculptor might, chip away at a block of marble
Okay.
to reveal like a figure inside.
Get rid of the excess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Eudoxus uses this really great analogy. He talks about melting ice with gentle heat
Ooh, I like that.
as a way to describe dissolving the Philosopher's Stone.
So gentle heat is key here.
Yes.
Not like a raging fire.
Right.
It's a process.
It's a slow and careful process.
Yeah.
But of course, Eudoxus being Eudoxus, he adds a layer of mystery.
Of course he does.
He mentions this natural fire that's crucial for this dissolution process, but he's super vague about what it actually is.
Uh-huh.
And he even tells Pyrophilus to consult another alchemist named Artavius.
Oh, so there's like a whole network of alchemists.
Yeah.
They're all connected.
Like a secret society.
I love it.
So before we get too lost in this mystery of the natural fire, I want to go back to another analogy that Eudoxus uses to explain the alchemical process. And it's one that might surprise you.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
He compares it to making bread.
Making bread.
Yeah, bread.
That's not what I was expecting.
I know, right?
Interesting.
So he breaks it down like you have the grinding, the separating, the combining to show how it's all about refining and transforming the original substance.
So like the potential for bread was always there in the wheat.
Yeah.
It's just about bringing it out.
Exactly. But Pyrophilus, being the great student, he's like, wait a minute.
Uh-oh.
If it's all about one substance, the Philosopher's Stone, then how come you need water and leaven to make bread?
That's a good point.
Right.
It's like more than one ingredient.
Yeah, doesn't that contradict the whole idea of one substance?
Yeah.
And so Eudoxus says that those additions are like the stone's own water. Like they're not truly foreign additions.
They're like part of the process.
Yeah, they're essential for the transformation. So it's like saying, even though we see all these different ingredients, there's this underlying unity, this blueprint for bread that's present from the beginning.
I see.
And the alchemist is like this master baker who understands how to work with those elements to unlock that blueprint.
That's a great way to put it.
So the takeaway here is that alchemy, as they present it in this text, is really about mimicking nature's wisdom. but with a craftsman's precision. It's like elevating baking to a cosmic level.
I love that.
But now, get ready for a twist.
Ooh, I love quiz.
Our next stop on this alchemical journey involves a substance you might not expect to be causing trouble.
Okay, I'm listening.
Okay.
Gold.
Gold.
Yes, gold.
How can gold be trouble?
Well, you'll have to wait and see. Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. So we left off with this question of gold.
Right, like why is gold seemingly the enemy of the Philosopher's Stone?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's like, you think gold would be like the best friend of the Philosopher's Stone.
But like its biggest fan.
Yeah, but in the text, gold is actually described as like this: venomous worm.
Ooh, that's harsh.
I know, right? For something so shiny and valuable.
So what's going on here?
I think it comes down to how alchemists viewed perfection.
Okay.
Like for them, perfection wasn't a static endpoint. It was a stage in like an ongoing process of transformation.
So it's not about being perfect. It's about being able to become even more perfect.
Right. It's like having the potential to always become something greater.
I like that.
So like a seed, it has the potential to grow into a tree, but then that tree can produce more seeds. And so the cycle continues.
It's a never-ending process.
Exactly. And so common gold is like, it's reached the limits of what nature can do on its own. But the Philosopher's Stone, it holds the potential for something more.
Like something beyond ordinary perfection.
Yeah, and that's why regular gold is seen as kind of like an adversary.
It's like a roadblock.
Yeah, it represents a stopping point in the alchemical journey.
So the Philosopher's Stone is all about breaking through those limitations.
Right. It's not about rejecting gold altogether, but recognizing that it's just one step on a much grander path.
I see.
And to kind of illustrate this, Eudoxus talks about these 3 different types of gold.
Oh, wow. 3 types of gold.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
So there's astral gold,
which
is like this celestial energy that pervades everything.
Like a cosmic life force.
Exactly. Then there's elementary gold, which is the purest essence within all things.
So like the building blocks of matter.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's the regular gold, the metal that we all know and love.
The one we can hold in our hands.
Right, exactly.
So it's like gold has this secret family.
I know, right? It's a whole gold dynasty.
So how do these 3 types of gold relate to the Philosopher's Stone?
Well, the Philosopher's Stone, in its most potent form, contains both astral gold and elementary gold.
So it's like it's got the best of both worlds.
Right. It's not just about creating more regular gold. It's about accessing the source.
Yeah.
The forces that drive creation itself.
Like the ultimate source of gold.
Exactly. And this brings us back to the idea that alchemists weren't just like medieval gold diggers.
Right.
They were after something way more profound.
Like a gold that transcended material value.
Yes. A gold that held the key to life and transformation.
They were looking for the secrets of the universe.
Exactly. But of course, no alchemical exploration would be complete without a little mystery.
I was waiting for the mystery.
And this leads us to another question that Paraphilus asks.
Okay, hit me.
He's like, if the Philosopher's Stone is derived from metals, how can it be older than gold itself?
Ooh, that's a paradox.
Right, it's like a time travel conundrum.
So how does Eudoxus explain that?
Well, he says that the stone isn't just made from metals. It's the primordial matter of metals.
Oh, so it existed before metals.
Yeah, it's the source from which all metals originate.
Including gold.
Including gold. So the secret lies in extracting this essence.
So it's not about creating gold from scratch.
Right.
It's about accessing this deeper level of matter.
Yeah, like the blueprint that underlies all metallic forms.
That's fascinating.
You know, it's like, they're not trying to bake a cake. They're trying to understand like the fundamental properties of flour, sugar, and eggs.
So they were looking for the fundamental building blocks of reality.
Exactly. And this idea of like a hidden unity to all matter is central to alchemical thinking.
It's like a unified field theory.
Right. They weren't just manipulating elements. They were searching for the underlying principles that govern the universe.
That's a big goal.
It is. It's like they were trying to decode the matrix.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
And speaking of hidden codes, things are about to get even more cryptic.
Oh.
As we explore one of the most puzzling concepts in alchemy.
What's that?
The idea that the Philosopher's Stone needs a wife.
A wife.
Yeah, a wife.
That sounds strange.
I know, right? It sounds kind of scandalous. But it's actually this beautiful metaphor for the union of earthly and cosmic energies.
Oh, okay. I'm intrigued.
So we're not talking about like A literal wedding here.
No tiny alchemical rings?
No microscopic wedding cake.
Okay, good.
But Pyrrhophilus, he's like super confused by this whole wife thing.
Understandably.
He even asked Eudoxus if he needs to go on like an alchemical dating quest.
That'd be an interesting quest.
It would be. But Eudoxus gives him a more straightforward explanation.
Okay.
He says that this wife is actually a celestial source of energy.
Ooh.
It's called the Fountain of Living Water.
The Fountain of Living Water.
And it originates in the sun and the moon.
So it's like a cosmic fountain?
Exactly. And this fountain flows into what alchemists call the Sea of the Philosophers.
The Sea of the Philosophers.
Which is like this metaphorical representation.
Yeah.
Of this all-pervading energy.
Yeah.
That connects everything in the universe.
So no literal sea cruise for Pyrrhophilus.
No. But it's this amazing image of a cosmic fountain pouring into this vast sea of energy.
It's like they're describing the interconnectedness of all things.
Right,
Yeah.
like this cosmic web that binds the universe together.
And the Philosopher's Stone, through its marriage to this celestial fountain, taps into that energy.
Yes, and gains the power to transform and create.
So it's not just about mixing physical substance.
Right, it's about harmonizing
Yeah.
earthly matter with cosmic forces.
It's like they're saying that the true transformative power comes from aligning ourselves with the rhythms of the universe.
That's a beautiful idea.
It is.
And it leads us to another question that Pyrrhophilus asks.
Okay, what is it?
He wants to know if there's a specific time or season when this alchemical marriage is best performed.
Like, do alchemists consult their cosmic calendars?
No.
That's a great question.
It is, right. Like if they're trying to work in harmony with nature, wouldn't they pay attention to the natural cycles and rhythms?
It makes sense.
And Eudoxus points out that many alchemists believe that springtime was the most auspicious time.
Springtime.
Yeah.
Why springtime?
Well, they saw it as this time of renewal growth and the merging of energies.
So it's like they were tapping into the energy of spring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To fuel their alchemical work.
It's like they were using the life force of the planet.
Right. And Eudoxus actually gives an explanation for this.
What's that?
He says that during springtime, nature infuses the air with this special kind of energy.
Ooh,
He calls it a movable and fermentaceous spirit.
that's a mouthful.
It is. But essentially, it's this force that stimulates growth and transformation.
So they weren't just being poetic about springtime.
Right. They believed there was something real, intangible at play.
Like a force that could be harnessed.
Exactly. And this springtime energy was key to awakening and nourishing the metallic seed within the Philosopher's Stone.
The metallics.
Yeah, allowing it to grow and transform.
So it's not just about following a recipe. It's about understanding the deeper forces at work in nature.
And aligning yourself with those forces.
It's like becoming a co-creator with the universe.
Yes, like a cosmic gardener, tending to the seeds of transformation.
I love that.
And this is where the journey of the alchemists and the journey of personal growth really start to converge.
So what can we learn from all of this?
Well, if, as alchemists believed, this primordial matter exists within us all, then what does that mean for our own potential? For transformation?
What inner seeds might we cultivate to achieve a higher state of being?
These are big questions.
They are.
And we're going to explore them in the final part of our deep dive into Hermetic Triumph. All right, so we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into Hermetic Triumph. And I think one of the big takeaways for me is this idea that alchemy isn't just about, transforming matter. It's about transforming ourselves.
Right. It's about refining our understanding of the world and our place in it.
Exactly. And as we get into these final chapters of the text, we see all these questions and insights that really make you think.
It's like they're challenging us to see things in a new way.
Yeah, and remember how we talked about gold being both the goal and the adversary of the Philosopher's Stone?
Uh-huh.
Well, Pyrrhophilus brings this up again. He's like, wait a minute. Why are gold and mercury considered imperfect, even though they seem to have this special connection to the stone?
Yeah, it's like they're trying to get into this exclusive club,
Right.
but they just don't quite make the cut.
And to understand this, we have to remember that for alchemists, perfection wasn't like a final destination. It was a stage in this ongoing journey of transformation.
It's like always striving to become something more.
Exactly. So common gold and mercury, they've kind of reached the limits of what nature can do on its own.
Okay, but the Philosopher's Stone is different.
Right. It has this potential for something more.
Yeah.
Something that Eudoxus calls plusquam perfection.
Plus-
Yeah, it's like the ultimate upgrade, the key to unlocking this hidden potential. within ourselves and the world around us.
So common gold and mercury, they're not bad. They're just not capable of this radical transformation.
They're already complete in their own way.
Right. They're like following a set recipe.
Yeah.
While the philosopher's stone is like the master chef who can invent entirely new dishes.
That's a great analogy. And one of the things that this alchemical master chef can do is transmute base metals into gold.
Oh, yeah, the classic alchemical feat.
But Eudoxus makes it clear that this isn't about just like coating something in a thin layer of gold. It's about transforming the very essence of the metal.
It's like a complete metamorphosis.
Right.
The base metal doesn't just look like gold, it becomes gold.
But as we've seen, alchemy is a pretty complex path. And at this point, Pyrophilus is feeling a little overwhelmed.
I can relate.
Right? He's like, there are so many different processes and techniques.
Yeah.
And some of them seem contradictory.
Yeah, it's easy to get lost in the details.
Yeah. And Eudoxus, being the wise teacher he is, he reassures Pyrophilus that there's actually an underlying unity to the alchemical process.
So it's not as chaotic as it seems.
Right. He says that all these different operations, like calcination, sublimation, distillation, they all serve a single purpose.
Which is?
To purify and refine the matter.
To separate the pure from the impure?
Exactly. So it's not about finding the one right formula. It's about understanding the fundamental principle of purification and then adapting the techniques to suit the specific substance and the desired outcome.
Like a martial artist mastering different styles,
Yeah.
but always striving for that perfect balance and control.
Yeah, this brings us back to the idea of dissolving in its own blood, which we've talked about a lot.
It's like a central theme.
And Eudoxus emphasizes that this isn't just a one-time thing. It's a recurring cycle of breakdown and renewal. That happens at multiple stages of the alchemical process.
So it's like you have to break down in order to build yourself back up.
Right. It's like you have to let go of the old
to
make space for the new.
And this takes on a whole new meaning when we consider that this primordial matter that the philosopher's stone represents exists within us all.
It's like we all have our own inner philosopher's stone.
Waiting to be activated.
And refined into its most potent form.
And this journey of alchemy, it's like a map, a guide to navigating our own inner transformation.
It's about paying attention to nature, seeking harmony between earthly and cosmic forces, and embracing those cycles of breakdown and renewal that are essential for growth.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Hermetic Triumph, I want to leave you with this question.
Go on.
What base metals within you are ready to be transmuted into gold?
And what seeds of potential are you ready to nurture and bring to fruition?
It's not about finding a magical shortcut. It's about embracing the transformative power that's already within you.
The power to refine your understanding, expand your consciousness, and create a more meaningful life.
So keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep the fire of your inner alchemist burning bright.
Thanks for joining us on this alchemical adventure. Until next time, keep exploring the hidden depths of knowledge and the infinite possibilities of transformation